Let's have freedom. Let freedom. You want it in the veins? No. Okay, just straight.
She says it yes. Do you know anybody? Yeah, that's good. Nice to see you. And you know, it must have been I was ugly. That doesn't bother me.
It's a combination of the two.
Yeah, yeah. My friend told me to say sex because it makes your face the right shape.
Oh, it does? Okay. It does a lot for dinner. You're fine.
Yeah, the cashew's on the table.
Yeah. If anyone can do it,
let me help you. Can I pull on it? Yeah. There's the screw. Is that close to where your eyes are? Pull it forward.
Okay. Okay. Andrew has a chance.
Okay, I can't see. Can you see? You're not looking through the screen. Pull it forward.
Can you
you can actually see what I mean? Oops, sorry, honey. Yeah, okay, so you're looking out of it?
Yeah. And that's how I see. That's how I put it.
Yeah. Turn around, let's see the stairs.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay. Should be ready.
Okay. I guess we'll start.
Yeah.
That's Andrew over there. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Very good of you to do that all together.
And I just wanted to say how happy we are to have Gloria Needs No Introduction. This is Linda Mosier. This is this is part of Gloria's costume.
Yeah.
But she couldn't read with it, so I'm putting it on to show you, and she welcomes everybody to try this on after. It's difficult to see anything or anything.
And there are people who live with
which is good for me.
Because the other thing that I suggest is if you're going to try it on, is take a gravel, because the screen you're meant to look from moves one way, and your body moves the following way. You know, whatever way that is. So it's just interesting to. I thought it might be a little eye-opener. This one's from Wolf.
Okay, so, well, the stage is yours, Gloria.
Gloria. Thank you for doing that.
You are welcome.
Because I thought I was going to vomit on it.
Someone has a quick question down there.
So what's the
where it's
year?
from, Gloria. Where it's from.
Just a quick question. Where did you acquire that?
This one's from Kabul. It was sent to me. Here's the joke that I like to tell people about this goddamn thing. Can you unravel that? They call that the celebratory one.
Yes.
It's a gay color, right? But what's wrong with that is that it's the granddaddy of all oxymorons, right? Celebratory birka. Excuse me. That hurts my head. Anyway, but I brought it because I thought people might be interested in, and it's always the women, isn't it? Yeah. God. All right, well, I couldn't find any gin, so you're going to have to take me as you find me. I'm not a reader, I'm not a writer. I'm nobody. I hate myself.
But you're there. You're here.
We're all clapping for you.
Still alive. Don't disappoint us.
Oh, here they are. Okay, I just have a few things. Maybe I left it at home.
I love it. This is what happens with live.
Oh no, here we are. I wanted to read this one first because my special friend Sarah and her husband and mom have just come back from Egypt. And so I thought I'd wear my Egypt gear. And this is my story from Egypt. And you'll have to forgive me because I don't know what I'm doing. So it's Karnak. We went to Karnak. I have good register, so you can probably hear me in Chester, I don't know. We have just seen a brilliant morning. Oh my God, who typed this crap? Okay, you did it. Okay, I'm going to do it again. We have just seen a brilliant late night show in the open air. That's all true. With a series of colored lights and voices over loudspeakers, we have learned the story of Karnak. The love stories, the power stories, the stories of the pillars, the tombs, the fetishes, the obelisks, and of the early Egyptians of 7,000 years ago. Stories of glory and war and discovery and accomplishment. And believe me, it hurts your heart if you've been there. The dark air is warm. It passes over the skin as feathers might. We are transported into a long past century where these ruins were homes and hearing places and places of worship of a race we now know only by the monuments which remain. We find ourselves longing to imagine how life must have been in those times. Our mood is quiet and thoughtful after the impact of the storytelling and our voyage through time. Later we are walking to the car. It's late and the souks are open. The vendors are cajoling and drawing visitors in and out of the ruins, offering the deals of our lives, selling souvenirs and mementos. I find a handsome scarf. I put it on. Doug takes a photograph of me in it before we leave the souk. The vendor stands beside me, smiling into the camera. His hand is on my ass. Anyway, that's a true story. And you can like it or lump it. And then this is the scarf. So I'm so excited about this damn scarf. So I get it home and I look at the label, made in India. Well, you know, travel is broadening, right? Oh my gosh. Now let me see, I have another little ditty here. I'm not very well organized. I'm not good at this. I think, let's see, I have the Mongolia notes here too. I don't know. I think maybe I'll read Mongolia. Just a minute, I have to get my prop. Okay. Here we go. I don't know if have any of you ever been to Mongolia? Don't wear a hat like this, they'll shoot you. Anyway, I always wanted to go to Mongolia. And thank God my sister-in-law was sitting right there with a big face on. Came with me. So that was good. So here we go. She's reading. As long as I've been reading and traveling, I've always wanted to see Mongolia. Imagine. I think it fell into the category of untouched places, at least in my mind. People who knew said Mongolia was at least 35 years behind most of the rest of the civilized world. Well, that made it, all the more intriguing from my point of view. I tell the story this way. Nope. I don't want you to argue with me about this. This is my memory of it, okay? And this is without the gin. I couldn't find the gin. I tell the story this way. Dear Patty and I, in spring, usually got into her car, popped a Santana tape in the deck, and hit the open road. We both had family in Newfoundland. It came to pass that I no longer was comfortable in a car for so many hours. So I phoned an agency, no computer, thank you God, to book flights for us. The agent I called had helped me organize past trips to various spots, and over years we had become quite friendly. She said she kept dogs. When I asked her to book a couple of flights to Newfoundland, she asked why I hadn't called before to get the present cost of a flight to Mongolia. We have had that conversation every year for a while. When she gave me the quote, something let go inside of me. The cost, though high, was considerably lower by comparison to earlier quotes, and almost affordable. Between heart palpitations, I asked her to forget Newfoundland and book 2 flights to Ulaanbaatar. Then I had to break the news to Patty. Oh, my janitors. I called her on the phone and broke the news. Silence. Then she said the magic words. Sure, I have clean panties and a charge card. Let's go. That's the God's truth, and that's what I remember. If you remember it that way, don't say it.
Yes, I do.
From then on, it was a bit of a mad crush getting visas for China and Mongolia, both being shockingly expensive. I thought they should be paying us. The woman in the Chinese consulate in Ottawa had a good laugh when I told her the Chinese visa was an excuse for a money grab. No sympathy there. She went, hee. We flew first to New York. We had a lunch in one of the food courts, and I found someone's earring in my tuna sandwich, and that's the God's truth. I am superstitious enough to convince myself that this was an omen, a forerunner of impending doom. Anyway, remember I said that. She said, the plane for China was the biggest plane I ever saw, a futuristic air machine, which we never expected would ever get off the ground, menacing, someone's horrible design error, a spooky metal body snatcher, a candidate for ruin. I wished I had gin. Lord, it was big. The plane was horribly overheated, and so were we. I didn't think I was going to make it. All the stewardesses looked about 16 years of age, no English, none. I tried to get a cup of tea to soothe my jangled nerves. One of the 16-year-olds brought me, and this is true, a Tupperware juice jug with lukewarm water and with a sodden tea bag very much on the bottom of the thing. It tasted like something they give you in the hospital to make you throw. Anyway, too bad, we're already halfway there. Somehow, I've got the wrong glasses on, so I'm hugging this paper. Somehow we got to Beijing, and the plane didn't fall from the sky. It landed hard and noisily, as you might expect, a metal tank to land. My joy at deplaning cannot be expressed in words. Believing in miracles was not such a stretch. The Beijing airport is new and excessively beautiful, vast and otherworldly, art on all the walls, carved Chinese pieces in every corner, more like a monster art gallery than a lowly airport. Beneath the grandeur, we're on the lowest level, food courts, gift shops, and rooms for rent with beds and bathrooms in them. Well, thanks to Patty's friend Evie, we had one of those. I'm thinking the walls were pretty thin because there was a complaint and the little man came to our door doing that. No. Okay, so we were bad. Finally we wake. In the morning, we went to meet our flight to Ulaanbaatar, a small plane. My excitement could scarcely be contained. We had asked to be met at the airport there in order to get to our room at the hostel in the city. On board, I hate this part, on board a man who said he was with the World Bank sat in the window seat. He had been on this flight many times. Then why the hell was he in a window seat? I should have been in a window seat. Oh, I made a nuisance of myself, leaning into him, hogging the window, speaking loudly in his ear, but he didn't get it. And I saw my first glimpses of Mongolian tundra through my resentment and through the plane window obscured by the Hulk from World Bank. And that's all true. like this, and then some thing is in the window. Anyway, get over it. Finally, we landed, and sure enough, there was a driver holding up a sign with Patricia. Remember?
Yes.
That was the right answer. A relief, as I wasn't sure I had been understood over the phone when I had called the hostel from LaHave. We got into the car, a Lada, with signs of wear, only 2 operational doors, rusted and patched and clearly still running. It's May. There's a lot of dust and chaos and testing of our metal. Where were we? To what were we speeding so blithely? No turning back now. It was only when we checked in at the hostel that we realized Patty's passport was missing. So, you know what I'm thinking. I thought of the earring in the tuna sandwich. Oh, it all came to pass. Clearly, getting Patty a replacement document would top our list of things to do in Ulaanbaatar. While worrying about Patty's new passportless status, I kept my mind off fear and fast-forwarded my impressions at first view of the Mars-like surface of the country in which we now stood. Flat, dull, treeless, formidable, seemingly unpopulated at first shiver, sometimes a yurt in a broad flatness. I was told in Russia the homes are yurts, but in Mongolia they're called gurs. So now there's a little information for you who want education. So when we were in Mongolia, I changed the name to Mongolia. The hostel bears mention. An arc of a building, fixtures and spaces in an aged and pitiable state. Lights out at midday to conserve. So managing 2 long flights of stairs in complete darkness would have been a nightmare, except Patty, da-da-da-da, had been to the dollar store in Halifax and had secured some flashlights, which served us very well. Thank goodness we never had to use the ground sheets that she packed. That's how we were going. Oh, we didn't know where we were going. Our room had 2 uncomfortable beds with a huge window by which we enjoyed the full moon. Bathroom down the hall. Breakfast was provided. It's disgusting. Make it yourself. Scrambled eggs with lettuce cut up in it. And lots of tea and toast. Well, that's safe today. I hope this isn't too long. If you're bored or anything, just lean back and have a snooze. Patty went in search of authorities to help her get a temporary passport. And I hung out in the very large co-op, 3 floors of handmade items, local and national, and surprising crafts using matted sheep's wool, all unique and sensational. I brought home enough to sell, which covered almost the full amount I had paid out for the plane fare. The hostel lady was from Russia. She spoke perfect English. She ran a tight ship. There was one long-term tenant, a young woman on the Fulbright research grant, who had a room near ours and who sat in the common room in front of the TV eating noodles every evening. I don't know why that's in there, but I needed to tell you. Walking around in Ulaanbaatar was difficult. The roads were badly chewed up. No maintenance was evident. There is poverty, filthy children begging on street corners. The main road is busy with Korean and Mongolian eateries and people rushing to places ostensibly with purpose, like any big city, I suppose. In the brutish atmosphere, Patty found a Canadian embassy. Oh my God, drum roll. I was incredulous. The woman who helped us was Mongolian and spoke perfect English. That was a shocker. Having studied at the University of Toronto, what a chance. Instructed by her, our first move was to notify police that we believed the passport had been stolen before we ever left the airport. In a dark and dreary room, a man with only a scrap of paper and a pencil took notes while we translated our grievances to the man with the scrap of paper. The embassy woman left her phone line open. God. It looked like we'd never see home sweet home again. Then we had to find a place to get Patty's photo taken. We were on foot in a strange land. Don't ask me how we made it. Then back to the embassy. In a few days, Patty had a temporary document, but we were warned that the Chinese officials at the airport might not feel it was good enough. Have a good time. They had to believe us. We did not look as though we could make trouble, but we were a bit cranky. We'd been in a whirlwind of noodles and strange language. Patty kept calling out, I wanted egg! I wanted egg! Sort of embarrassing. She's a hard one to travel with. I just wanted to get into the landscape. With the help of the hostel lady, we found a driver, another creaky Lahada, and set out early morning. The driver had a little English. He had lived in New York for a year. What are the chances? There were no roads. I should tell you, this is all true. Just paths here and there in the brown, uninteresting, weather-wasted land, flat and desolate. We focused on the sky. What else? The ladder tore across the pathless terrain, unstoppable. There was... Oh, I'm sorry, but this is funny. There were stupas on risen land. If you probably know what a stupa is. It's like a shrine. It's a Buddhist thing. They're really pretty. I don't know what they do with them, but anyway, they're there. Cossack cemeteries, mounds with Buddhist flags and other paraphernalia of superstition piled high. We drove for hours, nothing in sight. There was a hypnotic quality to the hours. We saw yaks getting they're huge, grazing huge black beasts, homeless and unflinching. Patty got out of the car and shoved her camera in the face of one of these sturdy creatures. She had said days ago that she would not leave the country before seeing a yak. When it began pawing at the ground with heavy hooves, our driver yelled for Patty to get in the car. I'm so glad he had English. Get in the car. Oh my God! So that was one disaster averted, I guess you would say. This is sort of going on and on, but it's okay. I think this is the last page. Okay. In the afternoon, we came upon two gurs in a kind of animal paddock built from wood. I can't imagine where the wood came from. We had not seen any trees on this unforgiving landscape. The owners of the gurs were friends of our driver. We were welcomed inside and treated to a simple meal and very salty tea, which was heavy with milk. I wanted it to be yak's milk, but we never found out. It was a cozy open space with sleeping areas and colorfully decorated cupboards and a strong fire burning in the center of a makeshift stove. All easily believable as bits and pieces which could be moved as the family traversed the land with the seasons. That's something to think about because we're also permanent and final. We had brought some articles to give, warm socks, scarves, flashlights, and ground sheets. Sorry, Daddy. And some toys. The man of the family hunted wolves and had made a handsome hat from the hat. No. Sorry. And had made a handsome hat from the fur. This is a fake one, but it looks real. We all tried it on and took pictures. At one point, Patty needed to pee. And on the advice of our driver, this was a good moment. You had to be there. Our driver.
Everyone's riveted here. Everybody hold themselves. This is something.
Oh my God. Sorry. We all, where am I? Okay. At one point, Patty was and on the advice of our driver, went outside, and in the shelter of the back of the gur, she did the deed. Oh my God. Midstream, so to speak, an old lady passed by with an armload of sticks. I later asked Patty what she had said or done at that moment, and she said, I waved. Oh my God. All true, all
I
true.
haven't seen a person in 3 days.
I couldn't imagine a life like this. Now, this is a serious picture, shut up. I couldn't imagine a life like this. In a barren wilderness, no services or access to health care, and without visual stimulation, the landscape was meditative but meager. Lots to think about. The children in the home taught us a little game using camel bones, which they kept in a small decorated cloth bag. So touching in that, crazy environment. It had been a large trip. We'd seen a document made, no, that's wrong, can't read. We'd seen a monument which was a tribute to Genghis Khan, 45 meters high, not a word of a lie, in the middle of nowhere, literally. I had been chased back to the car by a long-haired and bushy camel. We'd heard a throat singer, too homespun and perfected to have a doleful duplicate. We saw a contortionist from our seats on a deep rug while historic musical instruments were played, baleful and melancholy. We'd eaten indescribable foods and been at the Great Wall of China. Really, our lives were changed forever. The Chinese border security accepted Patty's temporary documents. We were quiet on our travels home. A lot to absorb. My Lonely Planet guide had been useful, but it was impossible to note all the many idiosyncrasies of this country. When we packed up, we left a lot of clothing neatly folded in our room. As the hostel lady collected for the disadvantaged, there were many disadvantaged. My suitcase had a lot of local crafts in it, and some of the vodka, which I had it now, made locally. Home seemed very far away, and as Mongolia had been from our Canadian homes. I want to go back. It was wonderful. I should say that these notes are in no way in competition with the Lonely Planet. I mean, these don't have much to do with the Blue Mosque and any of that. They're really just impressions that I had as we moved through the countries, and pitiful, but there you go. So I think is my 15 minutes up? Is my 15 minutes up?
Yep.
It is.
But I mean, if everybody wants, whatever you want to do.
You can use some of my time. You can use some of my time. I like listening to you.
Come on. I just want to look and see what I have here in case there's something I should be imparting. I might just read part of this one because my friend Janet Barkhouse said that I should read this. Maybe I should have read it first. Is she here? Hi, baby.
Oh.
And this is the one you wanted me to read.
Yeah.
And I know I've met my 15 minutes, but I'm going to quick scramble through this one because you said I should. All right. Here goes. During our stay in Bangkok, before, this is a little bit about Thailand, only a little bit. Before hiring a car to get out of the city, we did and saw many things. We ate mystery food from the sidewalk stalls, we took a boat out on the river and watched a very small woman steer and navigate us between children swimming and many other small boats with eager fishermen skillfully bringing fish up from the cloudy brown water. We watched orchids take over a small greenhouse. We spoke to elephants and allowed them to go into our pockets for peanuts with their long trunks. We spoke to women entirely covered head to toe from the sun's merciless rays who were repairing the streets and filling large holes with cement which they were making. We fed street dogs, sad and thin and cross. We bought silk scarves and shirts. We sent 100 postcards home. But of all our sightseeing and exotic exploits, I have to say the one most stirring event was when we took in a theatrical performance. One scalding hot night in a neighborhood advertising reviews. We watched beautiful women in boats, in outrageous costumes, rowing on rivers created for the stage, feats of architecture and engineering, elaborate gesturing and piercing singing in that curious language, dancing in extreme flamboyancy, and never to be forgotten acrobatics and contortions. Seeing was believing. At the end of the exhausting performance, which left our heads spinning, we were notified that the actors would line up in the parking lot in costume and greet us and answer questions. Such a playful idea, not to be missed. We exited the theater, and sure enough, there was the lineup. Not one woman among them. All of them beautiful young men, beautifully made up and eager to socialize. I had so many questions. One of the young men, barely distinguishable from a beautiful young woman, explained to me that his dental work and breast implants had been extremely expensive, but if he wanted to work, these enhancing surgeries were very necessary. They were all so gracious and courteous, so warm and also professional. One of the young men explained that he was the wage earner. He lived at home with his parents and several siblings. I told them how beautiful they looked and how much I had enjoyed the show. They said it was a good living. They were respected and held in esteem, and they all said they liked the work. Some said they struggled with the issue of weight, don't we all, but kept each other buoyed up, one big family. Only a few of us had any interest in the exchange with these artists, but I must say, it was to me extremely interesting and set me to thinking about obvious contrasts in lifestyles, staying alive, pride of place and pride in one's work, excelling and bringing something of oneself to the mundane, no matter what that is, until the mundane becomes the extraordinary. So that's it for me. See ya.